Based on what we have found so far, we believe that the Somali fraud operation in Minnesota is the single greatest theft of taxpayer dollars through welfare fraud in American history.
Governor Tim Waltz ignored warnings, silenced whistleblowers, and allowed fraud to explode. Another community of people who were able to hide behind DEI.
Yes.
And it is the Somalians in Minnesota. How nice to be able to escape investigations of fraud by claiming, oh no, this goes against our civil rights. This is a violation of DEI, which is literally what they were able to do.
Right.
The investigation started years ago. And imagine this is Minnesota, the same Minnesota where we got our brother George Floyd.
Mm-hmm.
And so, of course, after the rioting, after the whole world pretty much changed, after we saw what happened with George Floyd, it was easy to be able to cloak oneself in, hey, that's discrimination, don't bother me.
Mm-hmm.
But now we've gotten to the point where the lid has been blown off. And we're learning more and more about the crisis in Minnesota. In Minnesota, we are experiencing or exposing one of the largest welfare and social services frauds in U.S. history. It's massive corruption is uncovered inside DHS and nonprofit networks of billions of dollars. Hundreds of billions of dollars have been stolen. Somali-run organizations are implicated in international money transfers, some reportedly tied to Al-Shabaab, which is a terrorist organization, financing channels. And Governor Tim Waltz ignored warnings, silenced whistleblowers, and allowed fraud to explode. And I agree with a lot of people. I don't think that this is incompetence. I think this is corruption.
Mm-hmm.
I think that this is absolutely intentional corruption. What we've seen so far is over $250 million siphoned through feeding the children fraud. Fake meal sites, fake children, money diverted through shell companies and wired to Somalia. The DHS housing fraud, over $100 million. Child care Medicaid fraud, tens of millions of dollars. You have daycare billings of children who have never gone to school. There were situations where we had more meals that were served and that were paid for than there were children in the particular zip code. And then you have the immigration fraud as well that's happening. Let's watch a little bit of this video just to hear about what was going on with this fraud, and I want to get your take on it. Watch.
White House Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy and Homeland Security Advisor Stephen Miller revealed a bombshell over the weekend, claiming that the Somali fraud operation in Minnesota is the single greatest theft of taxpayer dollars in American history.
Based on what we have found so far, we believe that the Somali fraud operation in Minnesota is the single greatest theft of taxpayer dollars through welfare fraud in American history. We believe that we have only scratched the very top of the surface of how deep this goes. And you're familiar with all the scams with pretending that children have autism who are not in fact autistic, with pretending to enroll people in food programs when in fact nobody was ever enrolled, and engaging in massive fraud, lying, and theft and grift on a scale we've never seen before in American history. The total bill, the total tab for this is going to be far beyond the numbers we've already seen reported. We believe the state government is fully complicit in this scheme, and we believe that what we are going to uncover is going to shock the American people.
He then went on to expose the Somali community at the heart of this fraud, claiming 75% of the Somali community in Minnesota are on welfare.
Look, based on the records that we already have, and this is a significant undercount, by the way, 75% of the Somali population in Minnesota is on welfare. But that's likely a significant undercount of just how much of a financial burden the Somali refugee population is imposing on this country.
Online commentators blasted the governor of Minnesota, Tim Waltz, for failing to act whilst leading the state at the time of the fraud, with commentator Nick Sauter saying, "No way Waltz didn't know, not a chance." Fox News deep dove into this further, revealing Tim Waltz and Ilhan Omar were photographed with Somalis convicted in the fraud scheme.
Ilhan Omar is on the Congressional Black Caucus.
Right.
Is on the Congressional Black Caucus.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a lot of people, I think we had a conversation before about the empathy versus compassion. And there are a lot of people who just see skin and color and think that we're all representing the same issues.
Right.
But what we have uncovered is that what has been uncovered in this process is that billions and millions of dollars have been siphoned away from African Americans. Now, I used to have away from Americans, but African American communities in particular. Now, I used to have a very, and I still do, but I used to say, you know, we talk about reparations. I said, we're never going to get reparations. We don't need reparations. But when you see the hundreds of millions of dollars that are spent, I started to realize we probably could have gotten reparations.
Could have got something.
Could have gotten something, because God knows if we're able to do this, you know, who knows what could have been done.
Or just Americans get a piece of the pie. I mean, so this is a wheelhouse of mine. Is I am a no foreign aid type of girl. I am the government should only do the 14 things in the enumerated powers that are listed in the Constitution. And so we have gone well beyond that scope. Somali isn't the only one.
No.
Most of these NGOs come from people who come out of the State Department. So what does the State Department do? The State Department goes in and cleans up after we've bombed somewhere. So let's see, when did Ilhan Omar come? She came because Bill Clinton bombed Mogadishu, Black Hawk Down, and that's when they started to come. And they started to come to where? Minnesota, the coldest, whitest place ever. So what would happen? What would happen there? Again, empathy, right? We would take them, these Christian NGOs will be built to feed them. Well, the NGOs get about $2,000 per refugee that they resettle. That's Catholic refugee. That's Catholic Charities is the worst. Catholic Charities is the worst.
Wow.
Lutheran Charities, you have some more Protestant, but Catholic and Lutheran Charities. Then you have some Jewish charities, but then you have these religious charity organizations to take in refugees, house and resettle anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 per refugee. So very profitable for them. So usually the person who gets the grants from the NGOs, who is the CEO of these NGOs, come out of the State Department. If we were to follow the money, if we were to dig a little deeper, all these things that these NGOs and the rebuilding contracts and all these grants, like I would like to pick the scabs on a lot of states, on a lot of NGOs, NAID, right? USAID.
Yep.
All of these things. And this goes hands in hand with our illegal immigration conflict. With it is all orchestrated, well planned. This is not truly an invasion. It is a well planned, orchestrated event by the NGOs, just like in small. You'll see the same thing in Texas. They're in Texas, and for the Somalis, because 75% of them are on some type of aid, it became too much for Minnesota. They started to go to Maine, right? Because Maine has a very small population, and they had very good welfare. So you see somewhere around 2014, you see this moving to Maine. And so Maine also has a very high Somali population. And actually they've had a couple of laws because there's some Sharia stuff going on in Maine. So all of this, we can look at that and just the cost of illegal immigration. And really, to me, the cost of immigration without assimilation into America.
Right. It's too much. It's absolutely too much. Any thoughts about that before we go on to our last point for the evening?
Just that I think it is somewhat of an invasion, only because even though the governments are working with them, I think they might have, as a people, as a community, they might have their own agenda, because you see in other countries where the groups of people like Hamas, they overthrew their government. So maybe at some point they might have acted like they worked with them, or, until they got desensitized and then overthrew them. And the way they're coming, they're not, no, we don't need paperwork. you're going to get out or we're going to kill you out. So that's what I'm thinking.
And that's the big concern, is not just that the Somali communities are here, but they're here, they're not assimilating. There's no loyalty, or it seems as if they're taking funds away from the American people, and there's nothing that we're getting in return. We're not getting anything.
That's so many communities and so many of these corporations. I mean, we can even go back to a lot of our corporations not being American owned, which happened again under the Clintons in 1995. It's been detrimental to the American worker, to the American people, and again, to Black people, blue collar Black people who have suffered the most.
Absolutely. Well, with that being said, we only have a few minutes left, and I want to we're in a series here, and we're asking this question, we're posing it to as many African Americans as we can. And we certainly want to get your take on it. The question is, why do African Americans vote? We know the numbers now are about 90%. African Americans vote Democrat about 90% of the time. So we want to hear from both of you. Share with me your reasons and what you think we can do to correct that, or does it need to be corrected? Are we perfectly happy voting 90% Democrat? You can go first, Batty.
I want to say it's a lack of knowledge. Like, I think some people think that we're doing something good or we're helping, and it's actually turning against us, and we don't take it serious enough. Like, for instance, like I've talked to some young people, and it sounds easy, if you're having sex outside of marriage and you get pregnant, just to go and have an abortion, but you're not looking at the grand scheme of things. Like, we're already, Black on Black crime, we're already taking each other out there. I mean, aside from the fact I'm pro-life anyway, anytime the Lord puts a life inside of you, you're blessed, and the child is a heritage, so you should keep your baby and have them. But I think we've devalued life within our community, and we've devalued the things that actually used to make us great. Like you were saying in the past, like we used to get married more, we used to own more businesses and do better things. But now it's looked at, they have like what they call them YNs now. They look at someone who's like getting a job, and doing things the right way, going to college, getting educated. Well, that could be good or bad depending on the college you go to and what they're teaching, what you're learning. But, going and just doing the right thing, they look at it and they laugh at it and call you lame. And so I think, we need to do better in that area. Especially with the policies that are there, if you just read them and ask yourself, is this good? Is this something that will benefit me? Or is this something that will benefit my community? Most of the answers is going to be no.
Yeah.
But most people don't, most Black people, we don't go and read and become knowledgeable about those policies. We just look at somebody like Jasmine Crockett. Her hair is done, her lashes is done, she looked pretty and clean, and she's just saying, a whole bunch of word salad, and you're not actually hearing, like, is she actually saying anything? Like, is she telling us what she's going to actually do and how she's going to implement it? No.
Fair enough. Well said. What about you? What do you think?
I do think it's all very purposeful. Again, it's so much to say. I despise the Democrat Party with a white heat of 1,000 suns, because of what it has done to Black people, because of the way Black people has seen it as a helper, and yet we have declined. Some have been helped, and I think they're okay with the ones who are connected, and they like the ones, they like to feminize our men. That person is going to always get a look from the Democrat Party.
Oh yeah.
That person who, just again, like the Jasmine Crockett, she is going to get a look from and support of the Democrat Party. Like the party that is always saying that they are going to help Black people have also put the Black people in the detrimental communities that they're in, fatherless homes, lower on the pay scale, right? And so but and I do blame Republicans because they haven't fought back.
Right.
They haven't told enough of their history. The Democrat Party has, so entrapped the Black community in that, because coming out of civil rights, when not one Democrat voted for the Civil Rights Voting Act, not under Eisenhower and not in 64. However, though, because what did they do? They controlled the education system. And again, Martin Luther King and the civil rights movement was not about my Black child being beside a white child.
Yeah.
We could be educated quite okay. We were about equal access, but again, infiltrated by white liberal women, white organizations, infiltrated the church to say what? To break down the barrier of our strong Black men as the patriarch, our church, right? Take us from our God. And that was really the purpose, in my opinion, of integration and getting us so that we could see white people in a way that was something we had to attain to, rather than being very, very happy and satisfied with ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I just wanted to piggyback a little bit.
Yes.
I should have said that too, that we have become very dependent on the government, and everything that looks good doesn't mean that it's good for you. So it's like, oh, we'll give you these benefits. We'll give you health benefits. We'll give you EBT, more EBT. And it's like, we don't even look at where it's coming from. Just for an example, and I'm only going to take less than a minute to say this, but when the shutdown happened, everybody, all the Black people that I know, they were blamed. Well, not all the Black people I know, but a lot of Black people on the internet were blaming Trump for like the benefits that were getting shut off. And they don't even know that the director of like the agriculture, he's a Democrat, and he's the one who actually cut off the funding. And when Trump tried to give funding, $5 billion?
Yes.
Yeah, he actually, the director of the agriculture, he said no. He was just like, he claimed that it needed to be used for like emergencies. So he didn't even care to help the people, but allowed, Trump to take that fault. And then there were Black people talking about, oh, they're going to rob stores. And it's just like, so you're going to go to jail? Like you're going to ruin your life or try to hurt somebody else's business for the sake of not having something handed to you. Like, so yeah, that's a big issue.
All very purposeful.
Yeah.
All very purposeful in the behavior. And we can even talk about the government jobs, right? Like expanding government, getting jobs, making up these jobs, making up grants, all of the made up jobs at the benefit of getting a hook into people. And so that's what it's for. And that's why it has been done to Black people. We are a solid vote for the Democrat. So,
we are a solid vote.
And they don't care what they do to us because we are a solid vote.
Yeah, we are a solid vote. And I think that they are building other communities of solid voters. And I think that's what's behind some of this illegal immigration. And again, we had a video prepped. We don't have time to look at it today, but we understand that Americans are for legal immigration. What we're not for is illegal immigration. And back when President Obama was running for office in 2009, it's so interesting just hearing what he had to say then and what the message that you hear now. He was saying, hey, if you're here illegally, you got to get in line. He said, you got to speak English, and you're not going to get all of those things. You're not going to get in front of somebody in Mexico City who's applying and doing it the right way. And it's like, what happened to all of that? It's like all of a sudden it changed. And Clinton was saying, Hillary Clinton was saying the same kinds of things. But, we move the goalposts. We have our new goals. We pick our new people, build our new voting blocks, and we're off to the races.